I did not do a good job with the face paint today. Come up here, kitty. You are part of the aesthetic. Black cat. We have the aesthetic now. It is Halloween time, which means Halloween books. But also, if you're like me, you don't like scary things a lot. And you do like middle grade books. I like spooky things, but not scary things. I watch Scooby-Doo, not Stephen King, basically, and that's the setup of this video. The cat is running everywhere. So the way this is going to work is I have, how many is it? I have 12 book recommendations. I have tier rankings of scariness. Here's some timestamps in case you are looking for something particular. These 4 books, they're not really spooky scary at all, actually. A little bit, but not much. The, first Harry Potter book. These are books that are not actually, meant to be, what am I thinking? These aren't meant to be scary. They just happen to have elements that are kind of Halloween-y and could get you into the Halloween-y mood if you wanted it to. First of all, I have Small Persons with Wings by Ellen Boorame. It's fairies, and if you wanted, that could be scary. I enjoyed it when I read it. Really no spooky parts at all, it's just fantastical creatures, which is kind of Halloween-y. Basically, what happens is there's this girl, and in kindergarten, she has an imaginary fairy friend. She gets bullied out of talking to the imaginary fairy friend, but then once she gets a little bit older, she realizes that he wasn't imaginary after all. So, the next one, the Love, Sugar, Magic series by, I never remembered the author's names. Anna Muriano. Yes. The writing is not great, but it's basically Wizards of Waverly Place in a book form, which I love, and you might love, or your kid might love, whatever you're watching this video for. There's this girl in a Mexican family, they own a restaurant, and she finds out that her and her family are all witches, and hijinks happen. It does start out, it doesn't start out on Halloween, it starts out on Day of the Dead, which is the day after Halloween, I think. Wizards of Waverly Place was my favorite thing growing up in the world. So, these next 2 are we're not getting into the next tier yet, but they're a little bit spookier than the others. The Sisters Grimm series by Michael Buckley. You have 2 sisters who find out that they are the descendants of the Brothers Grimm and that all the fairy tales are actually real, and now they are what am I trying to say? Now they are inheriting the... Why can't I think of this word? They are inheriting the responsibility for all these fairy tale people. It's got a very good vibe for Halloween. There's definitely some spooky parts. It's not necessarily a spooky book, but it does have that kind of whimsical, spooky, Halloween-y vibe to it, with the illustrations and the writing and the mystery behind it. I've only read the first book, so I can't really recommend the whole series really, but the first book was really good. This is a read under the covers with a flashlight kind of book. It's that vibe. There's also the Spiderwick Chronicles by Tony, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Dieterlizzi, and Holly Black. That one's easy. It's not this big, it's actually a series of 5 books. This just happens to be a bind-up of them. They're actually pretty small, they have big writing and cool illustrations. Much more fantasy than horror, as all of these books in this tier is. But still, it's got a lot of different creatures and a lot of different, not scary, but scary, frightening moments for the characters. It's a fun, quick series to binge read. It also has a sequel series called Beyond the Spiderwick Chronicles, and if I remember, I accidentally read that one first. I remember enjoying those ones more, actually. We have made it to tier 2, the slightly spookier, kind of in between actually scary and not. The Time Fetch. To be completely 100% honest, it has been a very, very long time since I've read this, but I remember absolutely loving it. There were some witches in it. Basically, the plot is hard with this one. Oh, Amy Herrick, that is the author. That might be important information. I'm stuttering a lot in this video, and editing Daniel is not gonna be happy. Basically, the plot. How do I describe the plot? There are little things that eat time, and they're eating time, and existence is disappearing because they're eating time, and these 4 kids have to save it. I remember it being really, really good spooky vibes, but I don't think it was ever actually, like, scary. I think there was one scene with some witches that might be classified as scary. I thought it was really in depth. I've never heard anyone other than myself talk about it, but it's a really good book. It's definitely for like older. If you're looking for this for kids, it's like a little bit older. Not older in scary content, older in like the reading level. The next one I have is Behind the Bookcase by Mark Stinsland. This is a very Coraline-y kind of book. It's very similar to Coraline if you like, actually we're bringing up Coraline later, so forget I mentioned her. But it's kind of like spooky Alice in Wonderland. There's a lot of weird creatures we meet. This girl, basically, they go to her recently deceased grandmother's house and she finds a secret world behind a bookcase. There's the title. And it's a world made of shadows, and she finds all these creatures in it, like a boy with only half a face, and a giant hand, and a talking cat. And a lot of hijinks ensues. She finds out more and more secrets and learns that the whole place might be more sinister than she thinks it is. It's a very good spooky book. Again, this is one that I haven't read in a long while. I feel the need to... Look at the green. I feel the need to express that because I'm good at verbalizing my thoughts. This is a good book. I feel like I am doing nothing to actually sell these books. I feel like I'm just saying, this is good, you should read it, which does nothing to actually convince you to read it. Next I have Gust of Gloom and the People Taker. Adam Troy Castro is the author. This is another Alice in Wonderlandy kind of one. Again, one I haven't read for a long time, but I really enjoyed it when I did read it, which probably says better for it if you're looking for this as for your children or something. Now this one is one that's like supposed to be spooky, but I think it's supposed to be like funny spooky. So it's a bit more humorous than it is actually spooky. Lots of fun illustrations, a fun story if I remember correctly. It's been a long time since I read it and I don't remember the plot very well, but there is this family that lives next door to a creepy house with a creepy boy that lives there, and they kind of get trapped in there, and the main character, the girl, has to go with the creepy boy and find, I think it's her family that's missing. I want to say it's her sister that's missing inside the house. I don't know if that's right though. It's been a while. Next I have 100 Cupboards by N.D. Wilson. I'm mentioning this one last in this tier because I feel like this one is the most scary of all of these, even though this one isn't actually one I think that's supposed to be intentionally frightening. I think this one's supposed to be more fantasy. Like these two I'm pretty sure are supposed to be more spooky, but this one I think outranks them in the spookiness. It's not all spooky, but there's a lot of mystery, a lot of creepy things that happen. There's a lot of intense moments. Yeah, I still think it's on this middle tier instead of the top tier of scariness, middle grade scariness, but it's at like the top of this tier. It's the top of this tier, definitely. I just realized the boo on my face is backwards because I did it in a mirror. I'm that one scene from Mean Girls. I didn't actually tell you what this was about. I was about to finish this tier and I didn't actually tell you what this book is about. There is a boy named Henry. He goes to his uncle's house. He lives in the attic. He finds in the attic a secret wall full of 100 cupboards, which all lead to different places. Some of them are less pleasant places than others. It's a trilogy, I think. I'm planning on reading the second book very soon. I intentionally reread this to read the second book, and I still haven't read the second book. So I need to read the second book, probably, today. No, not today. Actually, that would be a good Halloween read for me, is the second one of those. That's a good idea. Daniel, get on that. Editing, Daniel. Read it. And now we have reached the final tier. These books are actually like spoopy, scary books. I'm a coward. We speak to the fact that this was the hardest tier for me to fill out in this video. I tried to have 4 books in each tier, and I could only come up with like 2 books for this tier that I really thought were like actual useful recommendations. These first 2 are like sort of cop-outs just a little bit. Coraline by Neil Gaiman. This is a very good spooky book. It's very fantastical, just creepy enough. A very creative story. If you haven't read this, or your kid has not read this, and you want a Halloween read, then this is a very good one. This is one of my personal favorites. I just kind of feel like it's a cop-out by the fact that it is such a popular book. She's unhappy with her life. She finds a door that goes into an alternate world. It looks better, but then it isn't. We also have The Witches by Roald. Oh, I said it right that time. I did not say Ronald. Roald Dahl. This book creeped me out a little bit, and I read it when I was older. A good spooky book by a name that you can trust. It's about witches that want to turn children into mice because they hate children. It's about women that look like they have hair, but they don't. Definitely the most unnerving of the Ronald Dahl books that I've read. The next one, Welcome to Dead House. I know recommending a Goosebumps book for a Halloween book recommendation is not really the most unique thing, but for me personally, I find that the Goosebumps books are really very hit or miss in the scary department. Some of them are spooky scary, some of them I don't understand how they're justified to be counted as horror at all. I've read a fair amount of the classic Goosebumps. This one is definitely the scariest of the ones that I read, the most spooky. I kind of wish they were all like this one. Dead Time Stories, Grave Secrets. I think Dead Time Stories is a series of little short horror stories similar to Goosebumps. Now, it was a long time ago that I read this, and I didn't read Goosebumps until afterwards, but I feel like this one, based on my memories of it, was actually scarier than most of the Goosebumps books I've read. There's a doll that they find buried in the yard. Their neighbor acts very weird about it, and they already didn't really like their neighbor. There's a whole mystery. They talk to ghost girls. It's cool. It was cool, and it was creepy. I need to read more of this series. I've read this forever ago, and I never picked up any more Dead Time Stories. I feel like that might be because this might have been a little bit too creepy for me at the time that I read it, but this might be just up my alley. I have some bonus recommendations, just a small little handful of things. This is not middle grade. This is Dr. Seuss. There is a Dr. Seuss story called, what is it called? What Was I Scared Of? And it's basically this little guy that is scared of a pair of pants, and it's kind of funny, but it's also kind of spooky with the artwork and everything. So if you have a little one, or you like reading picture books, then that would be a cool one. When I was younger and read it originally, I really enjoyed it because I like things that are creepy but not too creepy. Scooby-Doo. And then there's these 2 stepping stone books that I remembered at last minute right before I filmed this. That's not true. It wasn't right before I filmed this. It was after I came up with the books yesterday. So it was not right before I filmed this, but whatever. The little ghost stories that came with the stepping stone books in the mystery genre of them, I always found them really fun as a child, as a kid. It should. I have the Blue Ghost, which I think is the one that I liked the most. They just satisfied. They did a really good job satisfying the need for spookiness when I read them. The Secret of the Painted House, I don't think I enjoyed this one as much. I think I liked the Blue Ghost better. But I still think I liked both of them. They both gave me very spooky vibes and would have been perfect Halloween time reads. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have lots of nice spooky things to read for your reading of the Halloween October times. Or just in general spooky reading times. Yes. Be sure to like and subscribe and other spooky things. There's nothing spooky about liking or subscribing. I just said that. To be on theme. Goodbye. Rah!